So now we're going to head to some guided questions. We're going to start with a strategic question. We're going to move to a policy question. And we're going to end with a tactical question as time permits, and then it'll be audience free-for-all at that point. So nonviolent. Strategic question to our wonderful team of panelists today. So what are some proactive approaches you've taken to, or would recommend that you wish you would take maybe, to fill vacancies with businesses that fit your market realities and vision? Because the fact is a lot of our communities are running 20, 30, 40% vacancies right now, let alone shopping centers and other places, but just some of our downtown districts that were otherwise healthy pre-pandemic and so forth. So what are some proactive approaches that you've taken that you'd recommend?
Can I answer that?
Please, Martha.
Okay. So Jeff just mentioned districts might be experiencing 20-30% vacancy. I think you should understand the relativity to that. So like on a national average, it's less than 5% retail vacancy nationally right now and in New Jersey. So it's one of the tightest markets for retail. The recovery has been predominantly in the suburbs, okay, not necessarily in the urban areas. We don't know how long that's going to take, but from our perspective, we want to be aligned with urban owners so that we are ready when people are returning to those markets. There's a couple quick things I would say. One is information gather. That's the very first step. Gather your information, get your statistics, make the list of vacancies, create a spreadsheet, list the sizes, have your contact information ready, broker, owner, whoever the case may be. Okay, so information gather. 2, educate, like define the message and then start getting it out there. And by that, I don't mean just to the outside world, to possible tenants or brokers like myself, but also inside, right? Because in the tent, there's sometimes a lot of disgruntled, there's not enough parking, you can't have that sort of negativity. If you're trying to show space and they're like, God, don't come here, you can't even park out in front of your store. Well, you shouldn't be parking in front of your store, right? So you have a little bit of that you have to deal with. It's called internal marketing, right? And then you've got to prioritize, right? You can't do 30 at once. So pick your top 3. I think you guys all said that. You have to pick your battles, if you will. And I think, Jeff, you also said it, you called it something else.
Getting on base, yeah.
I call it half a loaf is better than no loaf, right? So, yes, we all want Lululemon. Yes, we all want Starbucks. No, whatever it is, fill it, and then we'll work on the merchandising to bring it up. So I think it's best to just, deal with the vacancy as best you can, but then work on the merchandising, because as things are filling up, the buzz is being created, it will evolve. It will evolve, and it may change the center of gravity, right? Like your epicenter historically may not be the epicenter 20 years from now or 20 months from now. So last 2 things. Expand your use expectation. What does that mean? It's not yesteryear. We don't have Woolworths, right? We might have a plasma donation center, or we might have a great restaurant, or we might have an education center or childhood, I don't want to say daycare. Sports is an anchor now. Athletic facilities, fitness, boutique fitness, education. I said medical. Nobody wants it, but medical is, we call it medtail. It's considered an allowable retail use now, right? So fill the vacancy, and then be realistic in your rent expectations. I know a lot of you owners out there, we want the top dollar, we want to hold out for that last 5 cents. Be realistic, make the deal. The tenant in every instance is driving the deal, just to let you know. And then the last thing is be daring. You guys have the best SID statute in the country. Use it to your advantage, right? You have so many powers. It doesn't always have to be clean and safe. You can do lots of economic development stuff, joint ventures, real estate development. So that's my nutshell.
Jeff, do you mind if I pick up
on
that piece of
jump
it?
on.
Okay. So related to that, I'm glad you mentioned it because that's what I wanted to jump in with. So whether you have an improvement district, and we helped found an improvement district, an art district, an MPP district, a Main Street district, but our improvement district is quite small, so it doesn't cover our whole downtown. So for us, because we were nervous people, would get scared, obviously small town, so people get nervous when they hear improvement district and anything related to taxes. So what we did was we were creative for that one, for some projects we worked on, but we got equally creative, and I think that's what I would say is for proactivity. what can you do? Get equally creative. If you don't have an improvement district or can't get one put into place, there are also ways within your municipal government, generally speaking, to do certain types of things and get creative in how you approach that. So in our case, we recently, first time, really almost the first time ever, I guess, we're proactively, through our municipal government, which works pretty collaboratively with all of our other stakeholders, we encourage them to put an offer in and acquire a former Wells Fargo bank, which is kind of a centerpiece, kind of iconic building in our downtown too, that of course, vacant as of a couple months ago. So we aggressively pursued it, worked with them, they put it out, and we put in the most competitive offer through the municipality. We're seeking some funding to acquire it, and hopefully, if everything goes well, we'll be acquiring that over the summer. So why? Why would we do that? Because it encompassed a lot of parking. Some of that parking was right along our main street, so we'd like to long-term create some infill development there, right, to try and add that street presence to get the other side of that two-sided street back. And then also, it's just a great 100-year-old building right on a corner that we think can be adaptively reused for some type of additional street presence. So I guess I'm just back to that. Just be creative. We didn't have an improvement district in place there. We considered trying to wrap the improvement district and extend it to that. We didn't have the time to turn that around in time to make this offer. So we got creative. We worked with our town solicitor and some other creative thinkers, and we just came up with a solution that we felt worked best. So there are always solutions. It's just a question of how you approach them, and then bringing more people into the room to think creatively, because it can't all just fall on one or two people.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Melissa's got some insight.
I mean, the only thing I'll add is take a look at your municipal code, because the challenge for years we were struggling with is that people were coming in and this use is not permitted throughout a downtown. From tattoo parlors to having sip and paint on the ground floor, we couldn't have that. So take a look at your code and see if your code needs to be revamped, and that may be your first step.
No, that's a great point.
Just one simple thing to add, like you can only accomplish so much behind a laptop. So even if you collect all of that information that Marta was running off before, like it actually has to get in the hands of the right people. I've seen like plenty of towns that have these great marketing brochures that you'll find on their website. It's like, has anybody ever seen these? These things, like you actually need to get the information out, find out the venues where potential tenants would be looking, and put that information in.
To that end, Monday will be my 30th anniversary at International Council of Shopping Centers. My first trip there, I was the SID director of Red Bank. So you SID directors can go to these places, and guess what? All those guys that were, 25 when we're going there, they're like CEOs of places now. So funny how that happened.
No,
30 years.
Yeah. Well, revitalization takes time.